Hello and welcome to my knitting podcast. My name is Irma and you can find me on YouTube, Ravelry and Instagram as Wolwerkjes. You can also find my products on wolwerkjes.com and you can find hand-dyed yarn or pom-poms or stitch markers over there, and they are all handmade. So that's a short introduction of the brand. As I said, my name is Irma. I live in the Netherlands and in a part they call Westland, which is near the coast, and we have a lot of greenhouses over here to till tomatoes and those kind of things. So that's a little bit about the area I am from. Because it has been quite a time that I gave an introduction about myself, I will tell you a little bit more. I have a husband and two lovely children. We own a cat which name is Whiskey and he is huge. He's really big, not like fat but really big. And he owns the house basically. So that's funny. Little bit background information. I studied industrial design at the Technical University in Delft. After that I decided I wanted to teach. So I teach science and physics at a high school for about 5 years when I decided that I wanted to do something a little bit more creative than that. It wasn't really my thing and I decided to quit, and now I own Wolwerkjes, so that's really fun. Also I have more time for my kids now, so that's a nice addition to that. And let's get started with this podcast. If you have any questions, like personal things about me, you can always try to ask them. Depends on how personal they are if I will answer. But we will see. So that's that introduction, a little bit more about myself than usual because yeah, I don't want to do that every time. There's no need for that, but now you have it. Okay, this podcast. I talk about all the things I make, mostly knitting, sometimes sewing or crochet or whatever crafty thing I am doing at the moment. So I normally start with what I'm wearing, but I am not wearing any hand knits today, so we can skip that part and we can continue to finished objects. Last time that there should be a video up 2 weeks ago, I did record something, but it wasn't what I wanted it to be, and I didn't have the time because we went on a little holiday, so I skipped it, and I will have more to show now. So first thing I want to show is a finished object, and it is a pair of socks. I was looking because I only saw one, but the other one has dropped down, so I will grab it. It fell off the pile. I have a finished pair of socks, finally, because those have been laying around way too long. They have been worn, so they are a little bit stretched out, so they don't really fit the blocker anymore. Those are the Odeline socks. It's a pattern by Melanie of Braid and Tinker podcast. It's a fun texture on the top part and on the back of the leg part, and the heel flap and gusset construction. I love this yarn. There's dust on it, but I hope you can see. I really love this yarn. It's a really subtle, sparkling yarn from Cama Rose. It's their late night yarn, and they have different colors. I also own a really dark green of this yarn, which is also really pretty. I finished one really quick because I tested the pattern for her. and then I didn't start the next one, the other sock, so it took me a really long time to finish it. I was thinking about why that is, and it has different reasons. One, there were other things I wanted to make, and I use sock knitting mostly as a mindless thing to knit, and those were not really mindless for me. The second one went a lot quicker than the first one in, I think, actual time, because I was able to remember the pattern a little bit better. But it's not like really easy TV knitting for me when there is such a pattern on the sock. So I think that's why it took me some time to start it. And there is one stitch in here, a knit 3 together, which is not my favorite kind of stitch. It's not like all over the pattern that you need to do it, it's just every several rows. The pattern says to knit on a looser needle than you normally do, a bigger needle, so your gauge is looser, because the pattern makes it also a little bit more tight, but I really like tight socks. So I was a little bit stubborn, and I just cast it on my normal size needles, which is a 2mm needle. And for the gauge and for the fit, it's perfect. Only this 3 together stitch is really a pain in the when you have a tight gauge. So that's one of the things why they bothered me a bit, I think. But it's a lovely, beautiful pattern, and I wore them a lot, so I'm very happy with them, and they are really pretty. So that's nice. That's a finished object. Let me see. I have another finished thing. I'm thinking, because it's been 4 weeks now, but I did record but didn't publish it. It's kind of messing with my head what I showed and what I didn't show. So we will see how that ends up. I knit something else. I knit 2 tubes. It really was 1 tube, and I cut it in half. This is a hand dyed and hand spun yarn by me. It's pure silk. It's not in the shop or anything. It's just something I made for myself, and I really wanted to see what kind of fabric I would get and how the yarn knits up and what the color would do. So I just started knitting a tube. And first, my first idea was crafting it together and use it as a caul, but it would be like not really functional. Like, oh, maybe it would have been functional, but I just didn't feel it at the time. And like crafting it, like crafting the ends close and keep it like normal scarf wasn't also really, it's a little bit too short for that. So I just cut it in half, and what I am using it for now is like sleeves. Not a lot, but I use them as sleeves sometimes when I'm cold. And I'm not sure if they will stay this way or if I will make something else, but yeah. It's really nice silk against your skin, guys. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to knit it up, because I wanted to know what kind of fabric I would get with a pure silk yarn, because I only had a little bit of it in my stash and I chose to dye it and spin it. And now I know that when I order more silk, what to expect of the yarn I will get. And I'm quite sure there will be more silk in my life, because the feeling of silk against your skin is just there's no explanation for it when you haven't felt it yourself. It's completely different than any other fiber I know, and I'm very happy with how it works. worked out. What I really like about silk is that you get really vibrant colors when you dye it. And that's really, really fun for a yarn dyer to see their colors pop up on such a base. I think it's one of my favorite bases for colors. Not for the smell. Wet silk, like you're kind of cooking it, that's not a fun smell. Like wet sheep has a smell, but I know that smell and I can handle that smell. I'm not bothered by it, but wet silk, that's not really fun. I don't like that smell. But yeah, not that you yeah, that's the thing. But yeah, I don't like the smell. But I really love the fiber. So let me see, a little bit strange to, yeah, as I said, it's been a long time, but I did record, and yeah, I'm kind of searching for the projects to show. I'm not going to show my cozy memories because there's not enough progress to show, I think. I'm quite far along for it's such a big project that every amount you spend on it doesn't feel like that much because it's such a big project, but it's growing, and when I finish the complete length of it I will show it again. So I have the complete width, I'm working on complete length, and when I have those both finished I will show you again, but I'm not going to show it now. I've been working on another sock. Let me see, I finished one, so I have a half finished object. Let me grab a sock blocker for it. This isn't worn yet, so it will fit the sock blocker better. Aren't they fun? This was a yarn I got for my birthday last year, and I really like how happy the colors are. They're really like, with the orange pops and the blue pops, it's just a really happy sock. So yeah, I did a heel flap and gussets with a slip stitch heel. I don't know why, but the eye of the, I always forget the name, but in this pattern you slip the same stitches, so you do a row, slip one, knit one, then you do a complete row of normal stockinette stitches, either on the right side or on the wrong side, just depends on where you start at the heel. And then you do again slip one, knit one, and you slip the same stitches as you did in the first row, so you get those lines. You can also alternate those slipped stitches, so one time the slip stitch is over here and then it's over here, and then you turn back to the same as the beginning, and then you get like a different pattern. But every time I do that, the pattern don't really stand out. It just is not that neat, and I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but it's not that neat when I do that. When I see other people knit that stitch, it looks really beautiful, but it never turns out that beautiful when I do it, so I prefer to do it like this. Like this. I will try that other heel someday again, but for now this fits really nice. So I finished one and I already started the next one. Just a little bit. But when I don't do that, it takes me a really long time before I continue on the second sock. So I have to cast it on right away, otherwise it will be second sock syndrome, I think they call it. So yeah. This is yarn by Regia from Schachmeyer, which is a German brand. Schachmeyer Regia. And it's one of the designs by Armin Carlos. Mountains and Fjords line. I don't know the name of the color, but I can give you the number, which is 07033. Arne Carlos do name their colorways, but Regia only puts the numbers on their ball bands because they do that for all of their colors and they don't make an exception for Arne Carlos. So when you want to know the name of the color, you have to look it up on the internet, which is fine, but I can't be bothered. So yeah. Very happy with it. Regia yarn always really knits up. It always knits up really nice. I always like the feel of the yarn. Something strange, and I don't know why, because I use the same needles for the leg and the foot, but somehow my tension over here is way tighter than over here. And I don't know why. So we will see when I knit the second sock if I have the same problem or that I just have loosened my gauge or something. Which can happen sometimes, but it's not like I did a year over this sock or something. I just knitted it up quite quickly. So I don't know why my gauge will change that much. I don't know if you can see it, but my stitches over here are way smaller than they are over here. You can also see it, that it's more tight on the blocker over here than it is over here. Yeah, strange. What I did for the cuff is 2x1 ribbing, but what I did is that I turned my yarn around the needle in the opposite direction that I'm used to for the purl stitches, and I knitted those through I purled those through the back loop, also turning them the other way around. You can look that up on internet. How do they call it? Eastern and Western knitting, or I'll try to find the link and put it in the down bar. Because it gives you sometimes the stitches next to the purl stitches will be a little bit looser. You can see it a little bit over here, but it's way less than when I do my normal purl stitch, and this way it looks more neat on the transitions. And when you look inside, normally those purl stitches will be quite loose, and you can see that they're quite neat on the inside. So that's really funny. I came across it when I was looking on YouTube, and I saw it before. And a funny thing is that I knitted my purl stitches in that way for some time, just because I did it wrong. And I saw it and I was like, oh, but I can use that wrong method in ribbing to make it more neat. So that's really fun. Yeah, I'm very happy with this. So I started the second one, and that is my last pair of socks on the needle. So I can choose one of my other sock yarns to cast on another sock. And maybe that will be a little bit more patterns. Depends on the yarn I choose, because I think when you choose a heavily variegated color like this, or kind of striped color, I don't usually add a texture as well, because I think either the texture or the colors will be less visible. So, but when I choose a plain color, I may go for a pattern sock for once, because I do like pattern socks, only I have to make a mind switch that they are not my TV knitting. So that's the thing. Let me see. I do have another project I worked on, and I think that's the last hand knitting thing I did. I did some other things. I did a lot of dyeing, because I'm going to the Dutch Knitting Festival on the 1st and 2nd of May, and I'm dyeing a lot of yarn for that, so that took up some time. This is the other project I've been working on, and I'm so happy I picked it up again. It's my flax light sweater out of Cama Rose tincanknits lamauld, and oh, it's so beautiful. The color is really nice, but the feel of the yarn is really nice. Llama wool is hollow, so it's a really thin fabric, but really warm, so that's really nice. It looks like it wouldn't fit, but I tried it, it fits, so that's really nice. I think I did maybe 5 rows, maybe a little bit more, out of my second ball, but all the other knitting I did here was out of 1 ball of yarn, which amazed me, because I have like maybe 6, maybe more, I think 7 or 8 skeins of 50 grams. Are they 50 grams? I don't want to lie. Yeah, they're 50 grams. And there goes 220 meter on one 50 gram ball. And I did all this knitting with just 1 ball. It amazed me, and I'm very happy, because that means I will have quite some leftovers and I can knit something else out of it. And it's such a nice yarn to work with, so that's really nice. I did a different rib on the neckline. I did the same amount of stitches, but I did a different kind of ribbing. I did a flip, how do you say that? I flipped over, I knit my neckline, my rib twice as long, and flipped it over and knit through my cast on stitches to make it look like this. And I did the increases on a different place. Not on a different place, but not next to each other. I put a few stitches in between the increases for the sleeve and the increases for the body. And I did a yarn over increase, because I think you are allowed to see the increases of a raglan. I like that look, so that's what I did, and I'm really happy with it, and I can't wait for it to be finished, and I can't wait to block it and see how the fabric will look when it's a little bit more equal, because it's not a really smooth yarn, so there are some irregular stitches in the fabric, which is fine. It will block out, but I'm very curious how it will look when I did that. So yeah, very happy I picked it up again. Ooh, don't want to drop stitches here. Ooh. It's fine to drop stitches in this yarn, because it's quite sticky, so it won't fall out of the other stitches that easily. But I just don't like loose stitches when I put something back in the bag. So let me see, I think those were all the hand knitted things I want to show. I do have my machine thing over here. Last time I showed it, I was further along than this, because I ripped it out. I didn't like the ribbing I did. I didn't do ribbing. I did a garter stitch border, which I didn't like, so I just started the pattern straight away this time, and it creates these kind of corners, which I do really like, and I'm thinking about putting some tassels on there maybe. And what the other thing I didn't like about my first try of this lace shawl is the edges, because they were curling up a lot. So I'm doing kind of an I-cord edge this time, which makes it a lot more stable. And I think this rolling will block out when I wash it. So that's fine. You always have that with stockinette knitting. This isn't stockinette, but it has the same kind of urge to roll up. So that will be fine. I really like how this is turning out. Last time I showed it I was at row 120, I say by heart, and now I am on row 58. So it's going to take quite some time to finish this, but yeah, I think it's worth the work. I really like how it's looking. And I've not worked on it for quite some time, so maybe tonight I will put in a few rows. I think that's the challenge with this project, just not to do it all at once or in huge bits, but just do a few rows every day, and it will be finished even more quick than you can imagine. This is something I would not knit by hand. This fine with such a lace pattern, I don't think I would knit this by hand, but that's why I have the machine, and I really love the effect. And I think it's wide enough. It will be like a wrap, and I hope to make it quite long, so it will be a wrap on a beautiful dress, and I think it will be amazing. I did make a mistake. Over here you can't see at the front, but at the back I have it tied. I dropped a stitch with the decreasing. I missed a stitch, and I will just in the end I will tie it together with the same colored yarn and weave in the ends, and no one will see. And on the front it's not visible at all, so that's really nice. I'm very happy I got that loose stitch in time, because it's cotton, so it won't grab on itself, like the yarn is quite smooth. So when you have a loose stitch, dropped stitch, and you don't notice it in time, it will run down through your whole knitted part, and that's quite hard to fix in a lace pattern. So I'm very happy I got it in time. Yeah, very happy with it, and I will continue working on this maybe tonight. And what's really nice is maybe I will record a bit on my machine someday. It's hard to find the right setup, and I'm not a pro, so I find it hard to make tutorials on things that I'm not skilled in. So maybe I will make a video, but it won't be a tutorial. It will be more like a follow me along kind of thing, because machine knitting is really different than hand knitting. So it would be fun to show you people that it's not just moving a carriage left to right and back again, and you have your knitted item. There's a little bit more to it than that. And the most important thing is that when you make a mistake on the machine, it takes a lot more time to fix than in hand knitting, in my opinion. So that's really maybe really fun to show someday. And I think that's all the knitting I did. I did some other crafting. Let me think. 4 weeks is quite a lot. That's why it's nice to keep it regular, because not maybe for you it doesn't really matter that I skipped a recording, but for me it's quite hard to think back that long, and I'm not really organized that I write everything down I do, so it takes me quite some time to think back that long. So that's why I am going to be So that's why I like to be regular every 2 weeks, so it's easier for me to remember what I did. I did some beading, but I did beading around my earplug cords. It's not fixed yet because it's not finished yet, and I have a really long way to go to finish this, but it's not something that has to be finished, or that it bothers me that it's just dangling around my cord at this moment. But I really don't like the look of this cord. I don't know, it's just, I don't feel it. And I was clearing away some stuff and I came over my beads and I was like, well, just let me see how it is to bead around it. And it's really sparkly. I don't know if it will focus. It's really, really sparkly. And it's going to take a long time to finish it, but it's fun to do. And then I will have like a really glamorous earplug cord. So it's not something like, it's not really pretty or something, but it's just my crazy mind that likes to do stuff like this. So that will be something that's growing over time, and I won't show it again until it's finished, and that will take some time. But yeah, it's really, really just a fun thing to do, and beading is a really good way to clear your mind, because you can only focus on, do I have the right color and am I threading through the right beads. So that's really fun and I like doing it. And let me see, did I do anything else? Yeah, I dyed a lot of yarn. I can't show it all, but there is one skein laying here on the floor, so I can show you. And oh, two skeins. I have one of a kind lying over here, which is this beautiful green and grey. And I really like how it... the one-of-a-kinds are always fun because you can play with colors and you don't have to write everything down, and you can just do whatever fancies your heart at that time. So that's always really fun, and I can always go back and add something because, as I said, I don't have to remember how to do it because it's a one-of-a-kind. So that's always fun. So I did that, and this one, I'm in love with this. Let me see if it's neat enough to show. It's a self-striping yarn with 3 different saturations of this coral color. So there is a really light tone, a medium tone, and the most vibrant tone of this coral color. And there is black, and it's going to stripe like lightest color black, medium color black, most saturated color black, and that's going to be a repeat. But I really can't wait to see how it's working up. I don't know if I have enough time to knit a sample for the knitting festival, but that would be really nice. And I really, really like how this turned out. And this is my merino silk rami base. So the black is kind of a dark gray because the rami, which is a plant fiber, doesn't take up the dye. So the colors always turn out a little bit lighter on this base than on my Corriedale base. But I really like the contrast between the coral and the black. It's really, really fun, and it was really fun to do. It takes a lot more time to make self-striping yarn, but I do like the process, so there will be more self-striping yarn in the shop, I think. Yeah, and I have other colors, but I can't show you now because they have to be skeined and stuff. But yeah, it was a good dyeing day this week. And you will be seeing more dyeing a lot because I have to dye a lot before the 1st of May. So that's the thing. Let me see my plans for the coming weeks. I'm thinking about maybe designing a shawl. And I want to make some samples first for shapes and stuff. So that's something I will be working on. I don't know if it's worth to show you, but maybe I will. I want to knit on my husband's sweater again because I don't want it to get forgotten. So that's the thing. I'm on the sleeves, so yeah, I just should be working on that. And I will in the coming 2 weeks. Let me see. I'm going to finish the sock, I hope. I really want to start some sewing projects. I've been washing some fabrics and I want to start some projects that I have to look through my patterns and find some nice things to make out of them. And I'm planning on making a dress for my best friend's wedding, which is in August. But I want to start soon because when I feel, I want to be able to buy a dress and not like in a hurry, but still have time to buy a dress. So that's something I want to start quite soon. I have a pattern in mind and I'm thinking about some colors and fabrics I want to use. And I think that's something that's going to be visible on the podcast as well. And I think that's everything I have to talk about. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope you like what you saw. And if you have any questions or suggestions, just please comment on this video or search me up on the interwebs. I'm pretty much everywhere findable as Wolwerkjes, Ravelry, Instagram. So please let me know if you want to tell me something. And I will see you in 2 weeks. Bye!